Hi guys, welcome back. It's going to be a quick one. We're just looking at the 130 at Southwell. 132 it is actually. So I spent quite a bit of time last night looking at Southwell, and I've put up my selections for the day as a sort of like short listings. But I just want to touch on the first race at Southwell because I do think it's an interesting one. I am off to the dentist, so whether I'm going to be able to do any more of these today, but I just wanted to mention a few things that's worth looking at. So, Roaring Ralph for me is a worthy favourite. I don't think Asian Journey as probably, and Hard the Governor, I don't think really running them so close. I know that sometimes they run them close to avoid penalties and such like, but I don't think they've shown enough in the running for me to rival Roaring Ralph, which I think has been on the up, and I think it's more of a. I think it's definitely rated around 60, 63. That's where I'd put it. So I think it's under its current rating. I mean, you've only got to look back at a previous race where it finished second to How's the Governor. Now it wasn't beat by much, and it's got a £8 swing now. So there's £8 difference between last time them two run head to head. So I'd have Roaring Ralph over How's the Governor, and then you look into the rest of the market. So we've touched on the first three. Relevant Range, I think, has got a great chance on merit, but I just wonder if for me the jockey booking whether it's right for that horse. Now the one that stuck out last night was a Heretic, which has got the jockey uplift of Jason Hart on. Now he does have a habit of rocking up on horses like this on a falling mark. He's not rode it before, so it's an interesting one. It's a little bit unexposed, I suppose, compared to the rest. And at 8 to 1, I mean, I took it last night at 11 to 1, which I thought was value. 8 to 1, I think there's still value in there. I think Sama Star has maybe reached its peak. Again, I'm not a massive fan of that one. Maybe it's just a personal reflection on that one. And then you've got your bottom two in the market, which I mean, you've got a great booking on the last horse, which could definitely show improvement. But the one that stuck out for a value was this one. It's obviously only got off the mark once at a mile at Kempton, but on that day, if you look at it, went off at 22 to 1. Now it won with obviously a quality jockey on board in that one, and it's now going off again at the same sort of price after dropping down in distance the race after. But I do think it's had some. I mean, Kieran Schumacher was on it at Kempton as well. Gave it a good run. So I do think they've obviously put in some jockeys on here that they obviously fancy the horse with the jockey selections. Now, I think it's quite clever. Like I say, its last win was off. It was 9 stone 4, It's running today off 9.5, which obviously puts it a bit out of the bracket. But you've got young apprentice Mason Patel on board, which takes his £5 off. Now, that could be enough for this horse to get back up to its, because that puts it below its last winning mark. It's obviously a 4-year-old, quite unexposed type, and I think from what I've read and the races I've seen, I think it's got quite a bit of potential. So I still definitely think this one is he's rated 61 at the minute, but I think this one could go up to a higher ratings into the high 60s, possibly 70s. So we don't know how far this horse will go and what it's still got to find. I think it's its final mark before the handicap fully gets hold of it. So I did think that one was an interest. Now, what I'm planning to do, obviously, I think I've put it up on in the Trixie as an outsider, but I think what I'm going to do on the first race is have a little bit of a play on the exchanges. I'm going to take that one for 4 places when I can get a price I'm off with to try and cover my stakes. And what I've been doing recently is I've been putting 4 places, 3 places, 2 places, and the win. So if I'm spreading £10, I'll have £5 of it on 4 places, £2 of it on 3 places, £2 on 2 places, £2 on £1 on the win. So you're spreading that £10 over them 4 positions almost. Now, I know that's not for everyone, but if you can protect a stake, because I don't mind putting small multiples up, because in my eyes it's not a lot of money, but I don't really want to put £10 on the nose on it. I'm not overly keen on putting £5 each way, because I think that you can still end up with a position where you're not really making much percentage profit on your stake. So if I have £5 at 4 places, which is I think a more realistic um, position for it to finish, then that will outweigh having the £5 each way returns if it finishes in a place for the each way side. So that's how I'm looking at it, and the reason is why I'd go more with the 4 places than the each way is, like I say, I've got Heretic that I think is going to run a big race today. Quite like the look of that one. And then you've also got Roaring Ralph, which I think is bang on with the where it's sat in the weights today. So I think it's a worthy favourite, and we're gonna try and take it on, but we're gonna try and take it on sensibly and try and still make some profit on it. Now, the prices I looked last night, the best I could get on the Heretic one was 11-1. But if you look at the forecast, so let's go to the forecast. So the forecast on that horse was originally forecast at 25-1, and that's why I'm more inclined to take Magdalena for the 4 places, because the forecast for the race was, if you talk in terms of value, if you looked at the forecast of the race, you'd see that you've lost the value in Roaring Ralph, because obviously they're saying it should have been 6-1 when it started. The value is definitely in with Samra Starlock. That's the one that I said that's a bit on the fence, where it's just not a personal favourite of mine. But if you're talking value, the value is definitely with that one. It was forecast to be favourite, and what's that now? That has slid down to 11-1. So that shows a bit of value on the forecast side of things. And then the Magdalena, like I say, is pretty much where it is. So one of the horses has dropped out. I didn't think Sheila's well was well suited to this one. I didn't think that never even made the shortlist, so I can understand why that one's been dropped out. I think there's a couple of good ones. Well, I think the top three are going to dominate the proceedings, and you can see why on current form. But I do think there's a bit of a squeak for a few of them outside of that. So yeah, just the way I look at the race, and on the 130, that's where I'm looking at. So if you want to cover it in a different way, or it's not a race for you, like I say, there's a lot of hidden dangers in this race alone. I mean, we're only talking. Um, we've got 8 runners now, and what I'm saying to you is like there's four in there for me that are big dangers. So to try and pick a winner and put all your money on that one horse, for me, it's not the play, because there's there's too much riding on it, and I think there's too many dangers in the race. Now, whether it's a race you just leave alone, I mean, that's probably the best advice I could give you. Maybe maybe give it a watch for interest, but it's not a race that you're going to be getting stuck into. I'm just explaining, like, sort of, I'll go with the number 5, the Magdalena, on the 4th place finish, and I think at the 8, can it finish top half? Absolutely, I do. So I think it's a clever use of the claimer. I've talked myself into it, and that's where I'm going to be looking. So that's me, my selection for that one. And obviously, I think there is going to be some improvement on Heretic. That's why I did take it at 11 last night. At 8, it's getting a bit skinny, but if you was to have it on the nose, I think there's a chances there. So I do think Heretic will finish in the top 4. It's just whether we can find the winner. Now that's going to be the deciding one. Now, on a personal front, I'm just going to state for the video that I've actually taken um, the forecast, a reverse forecast between the 3, which is Roaring Ralph. I think it's a worthy favourite. Heretic, because I liked it last night. I like the profile of it, so I think it's down in the weights. I think it's got a good chance today, and I've also took the Magdalena in that combination forecast. I've also done a combination tricast of the 3. Now we're talking small stakes. I'm not going to go into the details of what the stake it is, but you've got to bear in mind that I've only put a £10 investment in total on the singles and places side. So I've gone small stakes on the forecast and tricast as a bit of a to have a bit of an interest in it, but trying to keep it within what I think I'll get back returns on the actual race. So yeah, I don't want to waffle. I've probably waffled on way too much as it is, but that's me thoughts on the first race. And the reason I'm putting it up now is I'll be at the dentist, so I might not be able to get another video up before the next one, depending on whether I can actually talk. So hopefully this one can pay for my dental treatment today, and then if we have a bit of success in the first one, I might, because I've got a bit of time today, I might talk through my feelings on some of the other races. But yeah, quite like I'm looking forward to hopefully watching this one. So um, I'm I'm quite keen on it. So there's my thoughts anyway. Catch you in a bit, guys. Hope you all have a great day. I've put a bit of a note up on there about Cheltenham today. Put up a very small each way Trixie, and just explaining like what I'm doing with this horse today is it might not be for everyone, but it's my reasons behind picking it. I just think that the 2 of them in the race are the 2 that show value, and I'm prepared to have a go with my money and a small investment on them both. So, but like I say, don't rule off that favourite because it's definitely a worthy favourite. Cheers, guys. Catch you all in a bit, and I hope that makes a bit of sense in between the waffle. Cheers, guys. Bye.